Scandinavian Bob here, hi. So, how bad is a relapse when you're doing NoFap? Well, it depends on your goal and from which way we look at it. And of course it also depends on the relapse. I mean, you all know that there is a big difference between a 3-minute slip and a 4-hour binge. Let's say that you are addicted to adult sites and you are trying to overcome that addiction, which in fact many of my subscribers are. Okay, so you are trying to fix your desensitized dopamine system and you are trying to rewire your responses so that you can get more turned on by real life people than pixels on a screen. Alright, and let's just say for the sake of argument that you have a 15-minute relapse every 12 days and the relapse include the use of adult sites. Well, if this is the case, I'm willing to argue that for many guys the dopamine system actually heals faster than you tear it down. And so in theory you could actually reverse your desensitization even with these frequent relapses. But you have to understand that it would severely slow down your progress. But in theory, as long as you don't put yourself all the way back to zero, then the healing of your reward system is cumulative. It would be kind of like 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, but keep going long enough like that and you actually move forward. Now, a relapse every 12th day would still be very bad in regards to overcoming the addiction in itself, because every time you give in, you are feeding it. Those sensitized pathways in your brain never become weaker, and thus you are making it harder for future you. You see, a sensitized pathway is kind of like a super memory of pleasure. It's a super memory of your addiction, telling you how good it would feel to act out. And if you give in and relapse every 12th day, then the pathways never become weaker. In fact, you keep reinforcing them. So, with a 15-minute relapse every 12th day, you would never truly overcome the addiction itself. But as far as your desensitization goes, you could potentially heal that, but you'd have to keep going for many months in order to do so, because of the fact that you constantly put yourself back a bit. And also, if you are having a bad lifestyle, including other super stimulating stuff like alcohol, junk food, a lot of video games and so on, then healing would take even longer with those relapses and perhaps not even happen at all. Now, if you were to have a 5-hour relapse, then it's a whole different matter, because that really fries your dopamine receptors and puts you so much further back. So in that case, those 12-day streaks would not be enough to fix your desensitization. At the very least, you would never get it fully restored if you kept going like that, no matter how many months you go. Also, one important thing to note is that for guys struggling with PIED, then relapsing every 12th day would almost certainly prevent most of them from ever overcoming their PIED. However, we are all different, and I guess it could happen for some guys with very mild PIED. But for the vast majority of guys, relapsing every 12th day would certainly not be good enough. But what if you don't really have any problems with adult sites and you're just doing NoFap for the benefits of retention itself? Well, for you then, busting a nut even without the use of adult sites would count as a relapse. But on the other hand, you would bounce back pretty quickly. You see, many guys notice a drop in, for example, energy and drive after busting. But if there's no addiction involved, some guys see a return of that energy as soon as 3 or 4 days after. Many see a full return of energy within a week. And for almost all of them, most of the benefits have returned somewhere in the second week. Now, what about if you are not addicted to adult sites and you are not even really doing NoFap fully out? Let's say you are sort of interested in it, but you still pleasure yourself to adult sites for about 15 minutes every 12th day. How bad is that then? Well, I honestly think that many guys who are not addicted could get away with that without that much harm. But since I'm speaking from a position of someone who has been almost 10 years in the rebooting community, I would still advise against it. And this is because we have indeed seen guys developing problems like, for example, PIED, even with moderate use. And also, adult sites are indeed like a drug, a digital drug. So even if you are not addicted right now, you could still develop an addiction later on. Now, of course, it's your life and your rules. And if you can manage it in moderation and you notice no negative consequences, then I guess it's alright. But since you are a bit interested in NoFap already, why not go all in and give it a decent chance? Try it out for at least 90 days and see what happens. Maybe you could start feeling even better. I think you could. And for those of you who are addicted, I highly recommend you watch a video I did a while back where I share something that could be incredibly helpful for you. You can see that video on the screen right here. Just click on that and it'll take you there. Alright, this is Scandinavian Bob signing out for today, and as always I wish you all the best in your journey to become the strongest version of yourself.